Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, I want to go over ticker EDBL and confirmation trading on this one and how it worked out. For me, this was the only stock that I traded today. It was very slim pickings, in my opinion, for selection. So today, EDBL was the only stock that I traded. So I want to go over the levels and how I traded this one and how I would trade this one if I was sitting at the computer all day. Of course, I wasn't sitting at the computer all day, but when I was, I got myself a nice little trade. So EDBL, we can see this is the pre-market session in the gray. And we can see that it popped up on the scanners with volume. And I know this because I have this indicator that's going to let me know how much volume is in each one of these candles. A white candle is going to show me any candle with 100,000 shares or more. So I can see that this white candle, when it popped on the scanners, had a lot of volume and liquidity, which I love, and that's what I'm looking for, right? So EDBL was definitely on watch, but what it did was it popped up and we start to mark those levels of interest. So it takes me about a minute to 2 minutes to mark these charts. So after it popped here, by the time it posted this candle and this candle, it's probably where I had those levels posted out. And we knew that we had resistance at 378, 390, and 399 as $4, the whole dollar level, which is a mental level. Now, if you're not used to those, the half and whole dollar level on your chart, I recommend marking those levels. I'm very used to them, so I don't mark them myself, but I'm very much aware that this level right here would be a $4 level, right? So that's a whole dollar level, a big mental level. Okay, so EDBL, we can see that we had volume. So yellow candle is going to be 30,000 shares to 100,000 shares, and a white candle is going to be 100,000 shares or greater, right? So, and we can see that over here on the BB Volume Hunter. Just double click on the indicator, and you can actually change the settings here. So if you prefer to see higher volume for the minimum, you can do that. You can set it to 50,000 shares, 75,000 shares, whatever you prefer to paint that candle that color. Now you can also hop over to the style and you can change the colors of these candles as well. So I have it set to default as any candle that has over 30,000 shares to 100,000 shares. Between that is going to post as a yellow candle, and any candle with 100,000 shares or more is going to post with a white candle, right? So we have that there. We know exactly where that volume is. We know that we have volume here. We have that liquidity, which is what we're looking for. Now, these pink candles, what are those about, right? These are major reds. Major reds are any candle 4% negative or greater. And I want to see these and be aware of these before I get into my trades, because that lets me know the risk that's associated with this trade. So if I get into a trade and I see there's a major pink candle and I scroll over and see, if you go to the top here, you can see the percentage of each candle. If I scroll over the top there and see that it's a negative 8% candle, well, then I have to consider a negative 8% knife into my profit. So if I go into the profit, I have to look for, well, there was previous knives that were 8% or greater or 4% or greater. I have to keep that in mind. Do I want to throw the kitchen sink at this type of trade, or do I want to be a little reserved, maybe reduce my size, tighten up that stop loss, or avoid the trade altogether, right? So really it depends on your risk tolerance. So EDBL, we're well aware that it has volume. We're well aware that it has major reds. So we know now this will not be an A+ setup. This will be it could be a higher quality setup, maybe, but really with that major red being 8%, I'm not sure it's too high quality, but that is what we have this week, right? We have another major red over here. We can see the volume tapered off. Red and green candles are under 30,000 shares of volume traded. So we can see that very plain on the chart. So we have a lot of low volume candles, right? And we have our predetermined levels at 348, which we know mental, 350 right above that, right? So we want to see a close above that 350 to start its bullish run again. But we know that's not really bullish till it gets above this $4 whole dollar level, right? So over here, market opens up. What happens? We get a 30,000 share candle, right? And we look up top, we can see up here, if we scroll over that candle, 30,000 shares almost exactly, right? So a yellow candle was posted letting me know that yes, there's volume there, just not a whole lot of volume, right? Not a whole lot of liquidity, so maybe don't trade with large size. Then it starts to come over here, taper off. You can see there's not a lot of volume here, very little volume. Some of these candles, this one here is only 5,000 shares, so very, very little volume. And again, very little liquidity. This share has, or this candle, excuse me, has under 1,000 shares traded on this candle. So it's hard to really, again, throw the kitchen sink at these type of trades because there isn't a lot of volume to really provide that liquidity for us to get in and out of our positions. Even if we're wrong, we want to make sure we can get out of our position, because if it has a wide spread and low volume, we're going to have that slippage, right? And we're going to get eaten alive on our profits, or we're going to get eaten alive if we're in the negative, even greater than we need to be, right? So we can see that the volume started to pick up. We had a yellow candle. So right there, it's 50,000 shares on that candle there. So that's nice. Started to pick up in volume. volume. We start to approach our 348 and 350 mental level, right? So we're looking for a clean close above that level to maintain bullish here at that level and to hold that level as support and then hit the next level as a target, right? And as we can see here in EDBL, if I hover over this candle, we can see the close on this one was 351. So $3.51 was the close, right? So closed over 348, closed over 350 mental level. So yes, it's bullish. Did have a massive topping tail, but it did have 178,000 shares on this candle as well. So we started to pick up in that volume, letting us know that there might be some interest here and there is liquidity to get in and out in case it goes against us, right? So we could get in at this close, put a hard stop here, and then before you know it, sure enough, next candle, very next candle, let me zoom in here so it's easier to see. The very next candle right here, after we closed above right there, hit target the 378, right? So it hit 377, wasn't exactly the 378, but I do consider that a target hit. That's 1 penny shy of that target, guys. I don't wait for that target to hit. I scale into profit into that target level. And then once we get there, I look for a close above to maintain bullish, right? So within less than 60 seconds, we had that candle go right up to that resistance and target level. So if you got in your trade here, let's measure that move, right? Got in here. Immediately it goes to here, and guess what? You're up 7%. So sure, it's hard to catch a 7% type of move to get the top and bottom of that move, but this is the candle closed. That's where I'd be entering into my trade, and then of course you'd be taking profit as soon as it pops. It closed here, so immediately you're up 5%, and you just take some profits, right? 7% on a 1 minute trade. Yeah, I'll take that all day long. So right, we've got EDBL after that, hits its target, rejects from there, comes down, posts another major red candle, right? This pink candle, 5%, 5.74% negative candle, and it closed below the 348, letting us know that it is now bearish, right? So now we're no longer in this trade whatsoever. If we're holding a lotto after scaling into this profit, either you take the full trade into that profit, which I would because it's a riskier trade. We know it has lower volume from before. We know it has major reds, right? So get in, get green, get out, or get out of the way, right? So take profit there at the 378. Closed below the 348. We're waiting for it to come back above the 350. Has to close over 378 at least to be considered bullish. Closed over 378. Sure enough, closed over 2 levels, 390 as well. Now, because over here in the pre-market, we hit $4 as a high, we can't really consider this bullish really until it gets over that $4 mark, right? So we know that, yes, it's bullish. Yes, it's a nice green candle. If I turn this this indicator off for a minute, you'll see that's a nice bullish engulfing candle. It's green, right? We've got a white candle letting us know, yes, there's plenty of volume. If I hover over it, we can see it had 260,000 shares. So again, I don't know how many shares you're trading, but that's plenty of liquidity for me to get in and out of my trades with large size, and I like to see that. And so it provided that liquidity in that trade. So it closed over 2 levels. So once it closes over 2 levels, I like to use the first level as the level broken as a now support level, right? So that's my cutoff point, right? So on this one, 378 was that level. So we closed above 390, we closed above 378. So we look for that 378 to then hold as support, and then target would be 390. So if you get in at 378, you scale into 390, and then from there you're taking profit on the way up, or you're looking for it to close below a level before you get back out of your trade, right? And so here we can see that we closed above that level, tested this level as support, 378, held that level of support, bounced right back up. And as we can see, I believe this is a green candle. And yes, this was a green candle. So immediately you bounce from 378, you hit target 390. If you got in on this dip here, on this right here, and you got that whole move, that's an 8% move to the top of that move. Again, it's hard to capture that whole move, but we're talking an 8% move in less than 60 seconds. That's using confirmation. It's beautiful. It really is. So it closed above. Let me turn the volume back on so we know what kind of volume we're dealing with. We know we have liquidity, right? We have 593,000 shares on this candle alone. 593,000, 600,000 shares on this candle. Guys, again, I don't know how many shares you're trading, but that is plenty of liquidity for us to get in and out of our trades. Even if it goes wrong against us, we're not going to get caught in crazy slippage. We can just get out of that trade immediately and get right back in if it starts to close back above a level, right? Excuse me. So, okay, I'm getting excited here. I'm getting crazy, right? Closed above the 415. We hit our target, right? So if you're in, close above this level, we look for that level to then hold. It did. Closed above the 390. Closed above $4, right? So let me hover over this. The close up there is 402. Came back down, closed at the 402 and tested the 390 level, bounced back up, and in 1 minute, again, our trade hit its target, right? So if you got in here, closed above the 390, it then tested 390 as support, never closed below, hit target. Maybe you waited for a close over 4. Well, it closed over 4, never closed back below 4, hit target 415. Again, quick trade scalps, because this is not an A+ setup, right? Get in, get green, get out. So this is where I took my trade, was this close over 378. I scaled into profit. I took 5% on this trade. I was very happy with that. I took the money and ran, right? Just Steve Miller Band, took off. So as we can see, we closed above this level. Now, what are all these red arrows and red marks, right? So we can see, if you guys can see that, I'm not sure if you can read it or not, but these are bullish vertical trends, vertical trend on the percentage and a bullish vertical trend here. That's letting us know that there is 5 or more green candles in a row. So if I turn the volume hunter off again, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green candles in a row, letting me know that there's a bullish vertical trend, right? So because we have that bullish vertical trend, because we're well aware of this, basically this red flag before we get into our trade, we also know if we're in the trade, this is a good area to scale out and take profit, right? So we know that this is going to show a little bit of resistance. It should have a healthy pullback, as it just made a really nice bullish run. So we had it close above this level, closed above, held that level, and then continued to then hit that target 436, almost to the penny. That's 437 high on that candle. Of course, it hit that, rejected immediately. So it looks like others were looking at that level to scale out as well. And we failed that level 436, did not close above, came back down, posted a major red candle. This was a negative 6% candle. So you had to get out of that trade quick. But again, we knew well before this trade ever happened that this was not going to be a high quality setup. And so therefore we kind of adjust our approach, right? So we either, we greatly reduce our size, we can tighten up our stop loss, or we could just avoid this trade altogether. But if you took this trade, it's a quick scalp, 1 minute move, and you're good to go. We then tapered off of that level, right? We came back down, and of course, yes, we bounced off this level 378. And a lot of traders would say, you know, that level held really well. I took that trade, it worked out, and that's awesome. I used to take those trades. I consider that anticipation trading, because at this point, the bullish run had already gone up to that target area. So now for it to be bullish, I want to see it then close over that resistance. So 436 was that resistance. So now I want to see it close over that level to then use that level as support. If it can close over the 436, well, we're good to go. Now, this one came back down. Yes, it bounced off that level. It was really nice. This was a confirmation, closed above that level. So this was a close below, close above setup, right? It then held that level, never closed back below, and then hit the target right there. Then we again had a bullish vertical trend, right? So it makes sense, a little breather and a little pullback, right? Before it starts to make its run again. And that's what we saw. So we had a little pullback. We got a little choppy at this level, but we already tested that level multiple times. And then as we can see over here, EDBL then closed over that 436 level with a close at, it looks like up here, looking at this close, it says closed at 440. So we were looking for a close over $4.36, but we had to keep in mind that we have the $0.50 mental level up at 450 as well. So we really want to see it close over 450, then hold that level. And at this point, it's getting a little hairy, because if we look above, we'll see that there is a cluster of resistance, which is another one of those 5 major red flags that I look for before entering my trades. Now, if I see a cluster of resistance like this, what it's telling me is that there's a lot of bags in this area, right? So if I highlighted this area, you guys can see, and I'll turn this red so it's obvious that that's our area of resistance, right? So I'll go ahead and highlight this, figure this out. There we go. So it's a little drastic there. Let me turn it down, but you guys get the idea, right? This is the level of resistance. We have multiple levels at this area, right? So it's an area of resistance. And so I look at that as a cluster, right? A cluster of resistance. And so therefore, I can't really expect it to just glide through that resistance like butter, although sometimes it will. But more times than not, what you'll see is some choppy price action in that zone. And the reason for it is because that is a cluster of resistance. In other words, there's a lot of bags that are sitting there waiting to unload or get rid of their orders, right? And so they're going to dish them out there. So we're looking for that to clear out, then close above that level, and then maintain bullish from there. Because if we close above that level, what we're doing is we're getting rid of those old bags and we're now replacing it with new buyers, and new buyers form a new support level, right? So if we can get above this level, it's worth watching. Until then, this is a cluster of resistance. And so therefore, with those major reds, with those with the low volume to get started, right, there's a lot of reasons for us not to love this trade. But again, this is the week that we're having. We don't have a whole lot of stock selection, so we're kind of picking and choosing what comes across these scanners, and this is the one that was coming across that scanner at that time. So it closed above the 436, and again, a nice 1 minute confirmation. So if you got in at this close here, this was the close at the top of this candle, got in at that close, let's measure this move. If you got in at this close, within 1 minute, you are now up 5.5% on your order within 1 minute. Again, these are 1 minute confirmations. It then needs to hold that level of support. Close back below is bearish. It will then have to close above now the mental $0.50, which is 450, right? So this candle here closed at 459. Then this candle was a red candle next, and this one closed at 442. So that was a fail of that $0.50 mark. So now we're looking for it to get above the $0.50 and hold. But as we can see, we had this cluster of resistance. So there wasn't a lot of room for potential here, right? So if that gap isn't really large and there's not a lot of room for potential, and if we're looking from a gap from, let's see, 450, which is about here. So 450 up to this gap, it's about a 7% gap. So it's not bad, but it's not really great. And again, the 450 level is a $0.50 mental level. And so therefore it's not a heavily weighted level on my chart. It's not a key level. It's just a level I want to keep in mind in case we see some pressure at that level. And sure enough, we did. We can see over here, we then failed that level again, posted a major red, and never got back above the 450. So again, in theory, with confirmation, if we can't get above 450 and close above that level and hold, then why would I ever expect it to get to 487, $5, 514, 527, or even higher from there, right? So why would I think it's going to get into that gap if we can't close above this $0.50 level first, right? So if I'm going to be bullish on this stock, I need to see it over that resistance first, and not just a wick. I want to see it close over that level, right? So EDBL then tapered back off. Major red posted here, negative 8.5% candle, nasty major red, right back down to the support. A lot of traders again would say, hey, it's going to bounce off that support. That's anticipation trading. They can get you into trouble. And then as we can see, it continued to taper off. Then the volume just died on EDBL. And guess what? Bullish vertical trend here at resistance, right? So at this point, if we ever think it's going to get back up to that 450 or anywhere close, we have to clear over these predetermined resistance levels from before. So we had a level 415, did not close above, bullish vertical trend, tapered back down. Again, lower volume now. Over here, we closed above right here with low volume, 30,000 shares to 100,000 shares. This was an 85,000 share candle. I'd like to see a lot more volume during regular market hours. Did not hold that level, closed below right here. As we can see, that was a red candle that closed below, closed back above with volume, and then closed below. So that was it. That was all she wrote, right? Failed that level multiple times, and that was it. This was our indication that we are bearish. So the fail here at this level, bearish under 436, bearish under 450. We need to get above those levels to be bullish, right? And so we're just bearish on this thing. No more trading it until it gets onto the bullish run again. And as we can see, another major red posted here, negative 6.5% negative candle. And at this point, shorts were having their way with this one. And we can see volume just tapered out from there. And if we go all the way to the post market, there was nothing left for EDBL. So again, get in, get green, and get out, or get out of the way. We knew on EDBL, it was more so get out of the way for sure. Get that green and get out of the way, because in the beginning of its move, it had that big spike and it had a major red almost immediately after. So that was good indication for us to get in, get green, get out, or get out of the way, right? So that's what I did. I took myself a nice little 5% win on EDBL. Hopefully you guys get a little change in your pocket as well. Just keep in mind, guys, our stock selection has been very slim this week, right? So we don't want to get in the habit of forcing trades. So if this was not a clean setup for you, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Stick to the strategy that's making you money. For me, that's confirmation. And guys, I appreciate your time, and I will see you in the next video.